Today on Nerd and Normal, we'll be talking about Microsoft ending the support for Windows 10 and what it means for you and your computers.
Welcome to Nerd and Normal with Matthew and Gareth, opening your mind to the world of technology. So let's get started.
G'day, I'm Matthew the Nerd.
And I'm Gareth the Normal. Well, some say normal, but there you go. Hello, Matthew.
How you going, Gareth?
And I'm well. Microsoft, end of life. Goodness gracious me. Rest in peace. Microsoft Windows 10. I feel like I'm in a cemetery. Why is it ending?
So it's been around for about 10 years, which is in Windows terms quite a long time. If you take into account the lifespan of previous versions of Windows, 10 years is actually a very long time. This time, though, it's huge and a major issue because you can't upgrade your computers in a lot of cases to keep them working safely into the future. Whereas with the previous versions, you could.
I would have thought, given how clever Microsoft is, they should have kept Windows 10 because what's the old adage? If it's not broken, don't fix it.
For me, that makes sense, and for you, that makes sense. Unfortunately for Microsoft, they don't believe in that. For them, it comes down to where they're going to make their money, and money these days comes from advertising, and especially from data generation through collecting your data and using that to make AI services, which is where the issue now arises with the reason why certain computers will not go to Windows 11.
Well, that's probably me because I think Adam gave me his computer when he and Eve were arguing. So I've been led to believe that Windows 11 won't work on my computer, so that leaves me out there in the desert.
Luckily, not completely. There is right now a method where you can actually have Windows 10 getting updates for free for another 12 months. The problem that exists is the fact they want you to follow through with certain requirements to actually get this to work, rather than just have it work for the computers for the foreseeable future. It makes no sense at all, other than the fact that it means Microsoft can track more of your data and link it to you personally in theory.
Okay, now if what you just said is the case, I can have it for another 12 months. Doesn't that mean that all of those little men working in Microsoft are going to be focused on Windows 11, whereas a small percentage of workers are going to be focused on keeping Windows 10 up to date? So are they going to ask me to pay for that extra 12 months?
Not initially. If you decide you want to do it in the future, at the end of October next year, then yes, they're going to want some money for it. But it's the same thing that occurred with Windows 7. When they killed off Windows 7, they didn't ask people to pay for it, but if you didn't upgrade to Windows 10, they actually sort of snuck through a few simple little updates that were required to keep things working safely and securely. It comes down to where they can make the most benefit for themselves. And in this situation, they've worked out, we can sort of make people hurry up and get a new computer in the foreseeable future by saying, look, here's 12 months of updates. Here's 12 months for free, but then after that, you've got to pay for us or get a new computer.
So at the end of October 2026, I can still keep Windows 10, but Microsoft is going to want me to pay for it.
If you want updates, you can still keep it going after that point in time, but you won't get security updates. And this is where the huge issue occurs. Going back to previous versions of Windows, the internet wasn't such a major part of them. Yes, you go on the internet with the computer, but Windows didn't care about the internet. Then things changed in Windows 8, and Windows was on the internet letting Microsoft know what you were doing on the computer, trying to show you ads for certain things, and this is where the issue now arose, I should say, not arised. It comes down to they get benefit from now saying, if you want to keep using your computer for safety reasons, you should, for the time being, give us your data, and then in 12 months' time, start paying us to keep you safe. Because we are tracking your data on Windows, we're trying to show you ads on Windows, and for that benefit, if you want to keep using your computer the way you always have, give us more money while we use your data.
Yeah, well, look, they've given us free upgrades and free checks for the last 10 years, so I would assume as a commercial enterprise, it's justified that if they're going to have to dedicate people to look after Windows 10, then they're going to want money, given that they've given it to us for free for 10 years, surely.
Well, yes and no. The reason why it became free is because they were competing with Apple. And this is where the huge problem occurs in the world of technology. Apple made updates to their system free at a certain point, and Apple said this was a major benefit for their users, is they can now get updates to their system for a long, long time for free, and Microsoft was still charging for their upgrades. Microsoft realized they were losing customers to Apple. So they said, oh, well, hang on, to make things safer for us and keep our customers ours, we will make Microsoft do Windows 10 upgrades for free.
Okay.
So it was originally a competitive thing they decided to do with Apple, and now it's turned into a marketing thing they've got.
Okay, but surely there is still that same competition existing with Apple. Apple's not going to sit back on its haunches and say, okay, Microsoft, you've got it. You can have all you want.
They're not, but the benefit of Apple that they've always had is because they do the hardware and the software. So they can say, we're going to support our computers for 8 to 12 years, and their customers realise that and are fine with that. So when they say after 12 years, your updates are going to stop, no more updates to your computer, so be it. Their customers are like, yeah, that's reasonable. I'll go and buy a new Apple computer. And they're fine with that because that's what they're used to.
Given that I'm the normal here and the word computer I can't even spell, the CPU requirements of a computer, is that the barrier through which you can download Windows 11 onto your existing computer, or you cannot? And if that is the case, how come?
Okay, this is the perfect question that people have been asking me for months that I could never answer until literally the last 2 weeks, and I finally have an answer for it. It is a CPU. It is purely the CPU, and it comes down to, in a lot of cases, older computers, CPUs, don't have the internal workings to work with AI. And that's all it comes down to. Microsoft have said these certain CPUs, these certain brains of computers are literally made that they will not work well for AI, and because they're going to integrate AI heavily into Windows 11 soon, and I do mean heavily, they're saying for your benefit, because you want all your features of Windows to work. If you don't have all your features, you don't want to use it, do you? So because of that, because it's for your benefit, we're going to say if your computer can't do these things inside of its brain, you can't have Windows 11. It's for your benefit.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a good marketing ploy. I just wonder whether it's possible on an existing computer that doesn't have the requirements to run Windows 11, whether I can actually physically put new CPUs into my existing computer, or is that a waste of time and waste of money?
It can be a waste of money because you'd have to find out what CPUs will work inside the motherboard of your computer. Because there's certain lifespans of motherboards, and the location, the slot where your CPU gets put, there's a certain lifespan of that slot. And over the time, the CPU manufacturers have certain CPUs work in those slots, and then they get new slots and make new CPUs. So you need to know whether a CPU that fits in your slot will meet the requirements of Microsoft for Windows 11 before you even attempt to put a new CPU in there. And the problem you then face is you think, oh, this CPU meets the requirements of, because it's in their database of, yes, it will go Windows 11.
Yeah.
But there's slight differences between the same models of CPUs, and it might not actually work because maybe they're going to say, the CPU, yes, it meets the requirements, but it meets the requirements with this new slot, not with the old slot because of the architecture of the thing.
So I'm faced with a choice. If my computer won't take Windows 11, I either have to go for that extra 12 months free, or I have to buy a new computer.
For safety reasons, yes. And it's purely for safety.
Let's just focus on that safety reasons. Mm-hmm. Because with the safety reasons, I would assume that we're talking about security for your particular computer. Now, I'm not BHP, I'm not Telstra, so I'm only an individual. How at risk am I, the individual, from hackers and cyber risks, etc., as opposed to a big corporation which people want to hack into and disrupt?
Surprisingly, hugely, because it's not down to how big you are, it's not down to how many contacts you have, it's down to that you have contacts. The fact that you have financial records that are on the internet, you have personal information, Facebook accounts, all these sort of things that are personal to you on the internet. Hackers want to pretend to be you for a lot of cases. That way they can try and scam other people by saying that they're you and trick them into falling for them. But also it's that way they can watch what you're doing to use you as a hub. So the more people they can compromise, it gives them more computers they can use to scam other people or to cause grief for larger businesses. If every computer running Windows 10 in November this year doesn't get updates because they don't realize that people can sign up for these 12 months of security updates, or they don't replace them with new computers, if all those computers get compromised through a virus that only affects unsecured Windows 10 computers, which can happen, ignoring antiviruses, because antiviruses can't keep you safe if Windows isn't up to date at all, then those computers can all be used to attack en masse large organizations to take them off the internet, taking things like hospitals off the internet, electricity companies.
Sorry to rude and interrupt, but are you saying that someone then in the future or November on can attack Windows 10, which automatically attacks everyone using Windows 10? Is that what you're saying?
Sort of, yeah. Well, it doesn't attack everyone using Windows 10. It can attack anyone, any service at all. Everything on the internet has a certain size pipeline, if you will, onto the internet. If you have millions of computers all trying to send data through this certain size pipeline to an organization, it'll take them off the internet. And this is where they've had issues with what they call distributed denial of service attacks that have taken down websites. The best example that I have that you probably remember is when census was done the last time, the government here decided to do it on the internet, and it was offline for 3 days. That was through one of these services where there were so many computers compromised with the virus that those computers attacked the server. And they weren't trying to hack the server, they were just taking it off the internet. And by doing that, it caused a whole lot of grief for the government. And that can happen.
Not having Windows 11 on my computer and being one of those normals that have had for 15 years Windows 10, am I going to find it difficult to navigate my way through Windows 11 when I get it, if I get it?
Not really. It's similar to what you're used to. Similar, not the same. The problem comes down to, and what I always focus on a lot, is making sure it looks and works what you're used to. So I make sure that the start button is over the left-hand corner where it's always been. I make sure, because we're all used computers now for long enough, you're used to the start menu looking the certain way, where you have control panel, documents, all those sort of things available to you. That's through a program called OpenShell. So whenever I do any Windows 11 setup, I put that program on there. That way it's there to be used to make the computer look and work pretty much like Windows 7. That way people are just happy using it. It also comes down to the settings, and that's from a user perspective. From information perspective, I turn off every feature that Microsoft's put in place to track what you're doing, to send data back to them, to show you ads. All that sort of stuff doesn't affect the user as an individual, but it does share their data with Microsoft, which I'm completely against.
Okay. All right. Now, the other thing on my phone, whether it's a smartphone or an Apple phone, it doesn't matter. I have many apps. On my computer, I have apps. When I either get a new computer and or download, you'll protect it for 12 months. Am I going to find my critical apps disappear?
I've not seen recently any apps being taken off computers when they've updated to Windows 11. And when you change, if your computer can't go to Windows 11 and you just do the 12 months of free, it doesn't change anything on the computer. Everything stays the same. Yep. But the issue arises that Microsoft had the condition put into their license many, many years ago. I think it was Windows 8 it started with, memory serves, where if you agree to use Microsoft Windows, you agree to them checking all the programs on your computer, and if they deem that program as being out of date or unsafe, they can take it off and not inform you they're taking it off. And I've seen situations of antiviruses being taken off computers because Microsoft deemed them unsafe and out of date, leaving the person with no protection at all. So it's one of those things that you shouldn't lose any programs. But if Microsoft deems the program not suitable, guess what? It's their computer, not yours. Yeah. You lose the program.
Yeah, that's a good point, because a lot of people use their computer for gaming, and also for Windows itself. All have a license. So you don't technically own that. I mean, I pay for Windows 10, but I don't own it, do I? So they can do what they like. Is that an accurate observation?
Yeah, you own the right to use their program. It's the same as your iPhone is a fine example. You own the right to use the iPhone, but yet if the iPhone breaks, you've got to pay to fix it.
So is it a moral question or a legal question when I say, all right, if I don't own it but I've paid for it, therefore I can hack it and give it to someone else free?
In theory, you should be able to. I don't see why you can't.
But it becomes an ethical question as to really whether you should or shouldn't.
No, it's a legal question. Ethical, you believe you've bought it and you own it, so ethically you're doing what you think you can, but legally you might not be able to. That's a really good question.
Yeah, okay, well, that's not a nerd type question. We'll leave that to the side.
That's for the legal team.
In terms of being compliant, is there any, can I still, in running Windows 10, do I break any legal requirements, or do I get myself into trouble legally? If I was to keep it forever and take the risk, am I legally at risk?
No, there's no legal risk at all. The issue comes down to a security standpoint, and that's all it comes down to. Legally, you can use it for as long as you want to. It is yours your license to use it. But do you want to run the risk of there being some sort of security threat which you're not safe from? And that's what it comes down to with that.
Okay, well, two normal questions from Mr. Normal. One, how do I check my existing computer? Without getting too technical, how do I check my existing computer to see if it's compatible with Windows 11?
Yep.
Step one.
So the first thing is to download and you can just do a Google search, but I'll put a link to this into the show notes. You got to download the PC Health Check program from Microsoft. Right. You run that. Once you've installed it and run it, it gives you a button where you can just literally check. It has a button, check for compatibility for Windows 11. You click on that, it tells you if your computer's compatible, and if it's not, why it's not. And there's usually three things that don't make it compatible. The first is, I've been talking about the CPU not being compatible, the brains aren't being up to run the AI.
Yep.
The other two are a software security feature of Windows 11, which makes a bit of sense. One's called SecureBoot, which just makes sure that the version of Windows on your computer is signed by Microsoft. It's a valid Windows installation, which is fine. Other one is called TPM 2.0. It's an actual chip on the computer's motherboard, which just checks to make sure that every program running is as secure as possible. It has a signature from the actual maker of the program. And if that chip isn't there, which you can actually buy those and install them through a USB plug, if that's not there, it also won't install. And
okay,
those
so
two
you're going to put those notes down below, correct?
I'll put those down below, yes.
Okay, well, now the second question is, all right, I want to keep my Windows 10 for another 12 months because I'm normal and I don't want to change. I'm an idiot, I know. How do I do it? How do I keep it for another 12 months?
So I won't go through the whole procedure now. There is a video that I'll link to somewhere up here. I'll put a link to it.
Okay.
That I've walked through actually how to do it, step by step, in real time, mind you. It just involves going into the PC settings in a Windows 10 computer, going into the Windows Update section, and there's an Enroll button there. You click on that, and it walks you through. The biggest issue is you have to have a Microsoft account linked to the computer. If you haven't got a Microsoft account, which there are some people who don't have one still, you've got to sign up for, which is very quick and very painless these days.
Is there a cost?
No, completely free.
Oh, gosh.
Apart from your data.
Something free. I don't believe it. Go on. Sorry.
Apart from your data. If you have your data is compromised, then that's Microsoft's doing. That's not free, but it's free enough. And then the important thing is once you've done it, sign out of that account. Get the account off the computer again because you do not want Microsoft tracking your data. And it's the one.
You keep saying that. Why not?
Because you don't know what they're going to do with your data. They're a multi-billion-dollar company that used to be software. It's no longer software. It's now services. whether that be them charging you for Microsoft Office every day for the rest of your life because they can, whether that be them trying to get advertisers to pay them because they have all this data about the users of their Microsoft products, or whether it be now these days their AI stuff that they're gathering your data, the things you type, the things you say, the things you look at, they're gathering that to build their database for AI.
Does that mean that if I'm an idiot criminal and I'm on my computer and I've not signed out of them checking me, if I'm on my computer planning to rob a bank, they'll know and they can inform the authorities and then I'm in trouble?
Their system will know, they themselves won't. Because
Well,
there wouldn't be an individual there looking at what's being typed. It would be just, there's so much data coming through. It'll be going onto their database they've got created already, and it would have all the things that person has typed. But there's not an individual there.
Wouldn't their AI alert them to the fact, hey, watch it, alert here, there's a criminal activity occurring on that computer?
Well, the question would be, is it actually a criminal, or is it somebody writing a criminal novel, for example, in fiction? They wouldn't be able to work that out.
Well, what about if I'm accessing pornography?
You are? Right now, not during the show.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I don't know how. But if surely there is areas of legality in terms of what you can access and not access.
Luckily, currently in the world, you're not limited to what you can and can't access. As long as you access it and you don't act upon it, it's perfectly fine and legal to do it. You can look, but don't. It's like the old-fashioned look, but don't touch. Do you tell your kids?
Well, the federal government at the moment, and rightly so, they're looking at restricting children being able to access certain things on the computer. Is Microsoft or whatever computer company, but Windows 11, are they going to be able to determine whether it's a child or an adult and block them if necessary?
It won't be done on the computer. It'll be done on the website itself, because that takes more computing power than even the CPUs they want to work on there, because it needs to be able to track the historical things that the person has done on their computer. That's the first thing that it's going to use to track to see if the person is of legal age or not. But they're going to use the person's camera to actually look at the person's face and work out, is that person over the age of 16? And then it's also going to get there and ask questions and create a database of things. So that, again, won't be Microsoft doing it, apart for the GitHub website that Microsoft owns. They've got to do it at this stage for that. Why, I don't know. But the computers themselves, Windows 11, won't have any involvement with that. That's going to be purely a server-based thing, where there's a lot more computing power.
How long do you think Microsoft, financially, will keep Windows 11 before they come up with Windows 12?
I've been asked this question so many times, and I wish I had an answer. The original, and for historical reference, the original idea for Windows 10 was going to be, so the rumours have gone, that it was going to be an online version of Windows. Unfortunately, back in 2015 when it was released, the internet wasn't what it is now. And so you could not turn a computer on and have it start up and load Windows off the internet because it was just too slow. So it's possible with Windows 12, the internet will be fast enough to cope with that. And so Windows 12 might not even be on the computer. It might be a case of you plug your computer into the internet and it just works.
Okay. Another potential, I've got to change my hardware to make it work, right?
No. In theory, your current hardware would work with Windows 12 if that were the case, because your computer's hardware would be doing nothing but accessing the internet. All your stuff would be done on the internet. Windows would live on a server somewhere. It's possible.
On a certain date in October 2025, Windows 10 has an end-of-life date. Dead, gone, finish. Unless you believe in the resurrection and you extra 12 months, you do what you've just suggested and get it for an extra 12 months. But then at the end of that 12 months, there is no resurrection. It's gone. Get yourself a new computer.
For safety,
if you want to be safe.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. It's just purely down to security and safety. The use of the computer will still be there. It'll still work, but it won't be safe to use. That's what it comes down to.
So listening to the nerd, listening to my good friend Matthew, if you want to be safe, I mean, your security is vitally important in this year, in any year really, but more so now with all of the potential cyber attacks, cyber criminals, hacking, malware, whatever, then be safe. You don't want your bank account to be sifted away and given to a criminal because you didn't see the importance of security. So Windows 11, whatever the reason Microsoft is doing it, is absolutely essential for your computer. Get a new one if it doesn't work. Get the extra 12 months if you want to actually investigate, but do what Matthew is saying, because after all, your safety is most important to you and your family. New computer, end of life for Windows 10. Hallelujah for Windows 11. Don't make Windows 12 in 2027.
Please no.
Yeah, please no. Now, Matthew, I mean, I just really enjoy doing what we're doing. And I know that next week, you've led me to believe that Google is going to make it possible for me and anyone in the world to access Gemini. And I'm not talking about the satellite.
No, they're going to try and put Gemini inside of Chrome. So if you're using Chrome right now to watch us or use the internet normally, Gemini, their AI solution, we've actually built into Chrome very soon.
And we'll talk about that in a week coming up, and we're going to revisit AI.
We will.
All on this nerd and normal computer. Have a nice day, Matthew.
See you, Gareth.